So you've probably heard the term big data thrown around a lot, right? But what does it actually mean? Well, today we're going to cut through all that jargon and really demystify one of the biggest forces shaping our world. Just think about your day for a second. Have you checked social media? Maybe used a map to get somewhere? Streamed a song? Every single one of those clicks, those swipes, they all create a little piece of data. Now imagine that, but multiplied by billions of people every second of every day. The scale is just, well, it's staggering. Okay, look at this number, 900 million. What do you think that could be in just one day? It's not, coffee sold or miles driven. Nope. It's something way, way more digital. That's right, 900 million photos uploaded to Facebook every single day. And think about it, that's just one platform and just one kind of data. This right here is a perfect example of what we mean when we say big data. It's happening on a scale that's, honestly, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. So that crazy number of photos really brings us right to the main question, right? What is big data, really? It's not just some tech buzzword, it's a fundamental change in how we deal with information itself. And the key part of that definition is really that second half. See, it's not just big, like a huge library is big. It's more like, trying to stuff the entire internet onto one bookshelf. That's the challenge. It's so huge and honestly so messy that the tools and software we've been using for years, they just can't keep up. To really wrap our heads around big data, experts usually break it down into three main ideas. They call them the 3 V's. We're talking volume, velocity, and variety. Let's dive into what each of those actually means. Right, so these 3 V's, the scale, the speed, and the scope, are what make big data, well, big data. Let's break them down. Okay, first up is volume. This is the one everyone thinks of, right? It's just the sheer amount of data. And we're not talking about, your phone running out of space. We're talking planetary scale data. Words like exabytes and zettabytes start getting thrown around. And to give you some perspective on that, way back in 2016, the world was creating about 6.2 exabytes of mobile data a month. That's 6.2 times billion gigabytes. And trust me, that number has just gone through the roof since then. So that massive volume, that's hurdle number 1. All right, next up, velocity. This isn't just about how much data there is. It's about how fast it's all coming in. Seriously, picture a fire hose of information that is just always on, full blast. The data is being created and needs to be dealt with, like, right now. I mean, check this out. Google handles more than 3.5 billion searches every day. That is a nonstop, high-speed river of data. The velocity is just, it's wild. And that brings us to our final V, variety. And you know what? This might be the trickiest one of all, because big data isn't all neat and organized in little spreadsheets. Oh no, it's a huge, chaotic mess of information coming from everywhere in a million different formats. Just think about it. Sure, you've got your structured data, the stuff that fits nicely into a database. Then there's semi-structured data, kind of organized like a log file. But then you have the giant pile of unstructured data. We're talking about the words in an email, that photo you just posted, a YouTube video. How on earth do you make sense of all of that mixed together? Okay, so we've established we have this enormous, super fast, totally messy pile of data. The big question is, so what? Why should you care? Why do we go through all this trouble? Well, this is where the magic happens. This is the power of analytics. Because when you can process and analyze all this data, you can do some pretty incredible things. You know how Netflix seems to know exactly what show you want to watch next? That's big data. Or how a store seems to have that one product everyone is suddenly talking about? That's also big data. It's all about finding the patterns, the little insights that you just couldn't see before. Okay, the why is clear. The benefits are huge. But the how? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You're definitely not going to wrangle this stuff with a simple spreadsheet. Nope. You need a totally different way of thinking about it. A whole new architecture built just for this kind of scale and complexity. I mean, one of the first problems is just, where do you put it all? And the answer isn't just buy more hard drives. You have to be smarter. Use things like compression or moving older data to cheaper cloud storage. And this is where some really powerful tools come in, especially open source stuff like Hadoop. Okay, so what you're seeing here is a typical big data architecture. And I know, it probably looks a little complicated. But honestly, the best way to think of it is like a factory. A digital factory. You've got all this raw data coming in one end, it moves down this digital assembly line where it gets processed and cleaned up, and then out the other end comes the good stuff, valuable insights and reports. Actually, we can boil that whole factory down to 4 basic steps. It's pretty simple, really. Step 1, collect the data. Step 2, store it somewhere. Step 3, process it, clean it up, get it organized. And the final step, 4, analyze it. That's where you find the gold. So, to build this digital factory, you need a serious toolkit. And when you talk about the tools for big data, there's one name that always comes up, Hadoop. But here's the thing. Hadoop isn't just one single tool. It's actually a whole ecosystem of different tools that are all designed to play nicely together. So what this Hadoop ecosystem basically does is give you the open source building blocks for your data factory. And the real magic here is that it lets you use a bunch of normal, everyday computers all linked together to do work that used to require a crazy expensive supercomputer. It really kind of democratized big data. So this shows you how all those different tools in the ecosystem fit together. See, it's not just a big jumble of software. It's actually organized into layers, like a cake, where each layer has a specific job to do. Don't get too hung up on all the different names for now. What's important is the overall structure. A good way to think about it is like building a house. The bottom layer is your foundation. That's data storage, where you keep all your materials. The next layer up is data processing. That's like putting up the walls and the frame, shaping everything. Then you have the data access layer. Think of those as the doors and windows, how you actually get in and use the data. And right at the top, you've got data management. That's the project manager making sure everything works together smoothly. It's a whole system from the ground up. So from predicting how diseases might spread to building smarter cities, big data is completely changing the game. It's giving us the ability to ask and answer questions we never even thought were possible. So I'll just leave you with this thought to wrap things up. If you had all this power, all this data at your fingertips, what's the one big question you would want to answer?